What's going on, y'all? It's JD Piquel. Today on The Hard Count, we're going to preview and predict Kansas State at Oklahoma. Welcome into The Hard Count, the people show for every single thing that you know and that you love about college football. It happens here on a daily basis. Nick Brake does the heavy lifting. You can help drive the show by subscribing to the channel. We are also available on podcasts. Whether you get them on Apple, whether you get them on Spotify, we are there. The Hard Count is in your podcast feed. Would encourage you to go ahead and check that out. Leave us a 5-star review, all that good stuff. So we're going to do a preview and prediction on Kansas State heading to Norman to play the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, the Sooners are favored by 13.5, but this game, to me, from a matchup perspective, is really intriguing. For both teams, different implications. For Kansas State, coming off a game where they lost to a tough Tulane team, trying to sort of get their win back under them and trying to get back to the dominant fashion they had against Missouri. Oklahoma is trying to get into cruise control. They've looked really solid so far, played really well against a team that I thought was dangerous against Nebraska. They were in a dangerous spot, in my opinion, nothing to lose. Oklahoma took care of business. Can they continue to build and ramp up as the season wears on? Can they go like this, sort of a steady incline, something to watch for as this whole thing wears on? Kansas State, sort of a peculiar opposition, if you will. They're going to do a lot of things that, quite frankly, Oklahoma won't see the rest of the way. We really like to run the football, but let's jump into the X's and O's for both sides of this. For Kansas State, like I just mentioned, they're going to try and pound the rock. 62% of the time they are running the football. That is good for 15th most in the country. Got a little transfer quarterback, Adrian Martinez from Nebraska to Kansas State, and he just adds a whole nother layer to that run game alongside Deuce Vaughn. Deuce Vaughn, 5'6", don't let the height fool you. One of the best backs in the country. He can do it running the football, can also do it catching the football. So there's a lot of layers to this offense. Ultimately, they want to run a lot of zone schemes and then off that have some play action and RPO. You saw Adrian Martinez have the quarterback power RPO, which really worked well against Missouri. Bottom line, if they can run and set up the pass, that's what they want to do. It's a very big if. We'll talk more about that hinge point in a minute here, but as a whole, Kansas State want to run the football. Can they do it against Oklahoma? Remains to be seen. On the defensive side of the ball, they run a 3-3-5, meaning you got 3 down linemen, 3 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. Now, why is that important? Well, ultimately, it's just confusing because when you have 3 guys down that are rushing for sure, that means that 4th guy is probably coming from somewhere on the 2nd or 3rd level. Meaning, as an offensive line, as a running back, pass protection is sort of a guessing game. You got to figure out where's that 4th guy coming. Is it the safety? Is it the corner? Is it a linebacker? It's not going to be from that first line of scrimmage, ultimately, is what I'm trying to tell you. So Oklahoma, how do they deal with that challenge remains to be seen. On top of that, those 5 DBs, when you play with so many DBs, you play with a lot of speed on the field. But with their secondary, they ask them to fill in run support. And we saw Josh Hayes do that really effectively against Missouri. They got a lot of guys on this back end that fill effectively for Kansas State. So that's something to watch for because anytime that you're aggressive from the 3rd level of your defense, it leaves you just ever so slightly exposed in the pass game. For Oklahoma, same song, second verse. You know how we feel about that offense. They go a whole lot of plays. They go really fast. Jeff Lebby and Dylan Gabriel appear to be clicking thus far, this time 3 games into the season. But I've been really impressed with his command so far of the offense. Also, Eric Gray has done a great job toting the rock for Oklahoma. He's been steady. He's been consistent. He's been reliable. He's been tough between the tackles. Everything that they've asked of the running game so far, they have delivered on within that Oklahoma backfield. Now, here's the key piece. Here's one I think the hinge points for Kansas State and Oklahoma as they go forward. Oklahoma, as an offense, is going to want to take their shots, similar to Kansas State. But with how aggressive this Kansas State defense is, especially on the 2nd and 3rd level, when you try to fill in the run support, like I said, you leave some of that green grass behind you. So ultimately, for Oklahoma, can you establish the run enough? Can you get enough going in the run game to where those safeties start flying up quicker. Those linebackers, they start to trigger quicker. When that happens, you got Drake Stoops open. You got Marvin Mims open. You got Jalil Farouk open. Can they create a guessing game and have those DBs and those linebackers rocking around? That's what I think you want to get to for Oklahoma. But again, how do you do that? Establishing the run and creating some tempo ultimately on offense. Going to be very crucial for Oklahoma to win this game. Because Kansas State, like we just talked about, they're going to want to run the football. But here's my question. Here's probably the biggest hinge point for this game. For Kansas State, can you earn the right to allow your run game to wear on this Oklahoma defense? What do I mean by that? Can you be within a score, or even better, can you play with a lead to where you're not having to chase points? You're not having to play from 2 scores down to where it's like, hey, we just got to put the ball in the air because we're down 10 right now, or we're down 14 right now, we're running out of time. If they can play down 3, down a touchdown, again, like I said, even better if they can play with a lead, then you allow to sort of play at your own tempo. Then you can hand it off to Deuce Vaughn. Then you can run quarterback power with Adrian Martinez. Then you do allow those big boys up front to sort of start to lean on the Oklahoma defense. Because if you get to that third quarter and you're continuing to be able to run the football well into the game, that other side for Oklahoma, as talented as they are, as aggressive as they want to be with Brent Venables' blueprint on defense, they will start to get tired. You can only have a big boy run downhill at you and Adrian Martinez so many times during the game. You can only try to chase a quick jitterbug like Deuce Vaughn, who's deceptively strong so many times during the game, until you start to have your hands on hips, put your hand on your head, you're sort of trying to get oxygen. That wears on a defense. Can Kansas State play Oklahoma close enough to still be able to do that in the run game? I think that's a really crucial ingredient in this game. So when it comes to our prediction for this game, here's what I'm looking at. Again, can Kansas State establish the run? For Oklahoma, can they hit enough big plays over the top? At the end of the day, with it being in Norman, Oklahoma, I think the aggression that Kansas State brings on defense gets them into trouble. You can only fill in the run quickly so many times before you have to pay the price. And if they just get caught lacking once or twice, Oklahoma's going to make them pay. Dylan Gabriel is, like I said, coming along this offense really nicely. He looks comfortable. The offense is humming along. I think Oklahoma draws first blood, and I think that they ultimately end up running away with this one, or at least forcing the issue early to where Kansas State has to play from behind. So whether they run away or not depends a lot on if Kansas State can answer scores, which I think goes without saying. But at the end of the day, we got Oklahoma winning this game 28-17. So we don't have Oklahoma covering in this game. We think Kansas State plays them close enough to where they can cover. But again, if Kansas State can't answer scores, if Kansas State starts to press too much and make mistakes and ultimately just start to crumble with Oklahoma getting a lead, then this thing could get out of hand. So that's what we like in this game. Again, we think Oklahoma wins this game 28-17. That's it for us here on The Hard Count. We appreciate you tuning in. Subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram to stay up with every single thing that we're doing here. We want you a part of this. We are not slowing down anytime soon. A lot of previews and predictions coming down the pipe. A lot of topical videos coming down the pipe. Everything that you love about college football happens on this channel, happens on this program. So we want you a part of it. We're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.